And Manning throws, and wide open is Dominic Rhodes. The halfback is all the way out. Nokovic and Mundro. And Mundro is outside the 35-yard line. And a first down at the 38.
Well, kind of a fooler for the Jags because James Mungro, that's only his third reception of the year, primarily a blocker out of the fullback position. And when he ran by somebody and didn't block them, totally disregarded by the Jacksonville defense.
Mungro from Syracuse, and has his third catch of the season. The previous two were both for touchdowns, 1 yard each. He gets 16 on that one, as you can see from our stat tracks. And the game tracks, other scores and highlights will appear on the bottom of your screen. On first down, Manning looking for a long one to the sidelines. Wayne. He's in Jacksonville territory at the 47. Washington the tackler.
Well, Reggie Wayne has blossomed here now in his fourth year in the National Football League. This time getting a big cushion from Dwayne Washington, and with the double move, first of all, that requires tremendous pass protection, and it was afforded by the offensive line, allowing Reggie Wayne to just turn Washington completely around. This is not just a team now dominated by Marvin Harrison at the wide receiver position.
Those three receivers, right? Dan Wayne, Stokely, and Harrison, only three in the league, each with at least 25 catches. On first down, James. Out of bounds at the 43, Rasheem Mathis. Look at the distribution. All have 3 touchdowns, all within 25 to 29 catches.
Well, and of course, you know, Marvin Harrison, a receiver who, you know, in the past has had 100+ reception years, and Reggie Wayne was the first guy here to really offer an alternative. And now Brandon Stokely has become what Peyton Manning calls the perfect slot receiver. He's the guy that just slides in the middle, isn't afraid to take the big hits in the middle of the field. Hey, and don't forget Marcus Pollard, a world-class receiving tight end.
And he's in there, a double tight end with Dallas Clark, 2 wide receivers, Wayne and Harrison to the right, and a flag down before the snap. False start.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, second down.
T-Bone Glenn, Tariq Glenn at left tackle.
And you saw Peyton Manning kind of express frustration. His offensive line, these guys have to hold it at the line of scrimmage for a long time. I think we're all pretty well aware of Peyton and everything he does at the line, calling the plays, the formations, the protections. You've got to be patient to play offensive line on this team.
Yellow, a foreign color, only the 20th penalty by the Colts this year, lowest in the league. Draw play to James, read well by that Jacksonville defense, and 328-pound John Henderson attack.
Harmon mentioned about, you know, the Jacksonville guys calling the Colts soft. You know, sometimes that's the rap that a team gets that has so many skilled position players. I know the St. Louis Rams are in that same position. A lot of people call them soft. But there's no doubt that Jack Del Rio has instilled in this football team of his that they are a physical team, and they'll stand toe-to-toe and slug it out with anybody. It is one of their strengths, and they feed off of it.
Second youngest coach in the league, Del Rio, in his second season. 3rd and 10. Down the middle to Stokely, incomplete. And Deion Grant had eyes on a possible interception.
Well, we mentioned about Brandon Stokely, and there he is in the slot with Harrison to the outside. And you see it's just zone coverage, and he is open for a while in that bubble between the linebackers and the safeties. But by the time the ball got there, I think Peyton Manning might have overthrown that on purpose.
Troy Edwards, a former Steeler, back inside the 10. Hunter Smith, second in the league, punting average and best for net average, over 41 yards a punt. He hits a knuckleball. Edwards, 15, and to the 20-yard line, and brought down heavily on a solid hit by David Thornton. No score in Indianapolis. First chance for Jacksonville, and Byron Leftwich, the 24-year-old out of Marshall University, where he followed Chad Pennington, the Jets' highly successful quarterback. Opens at the 20-yard line. 4 wins for Jacksonville this year. All 4 have come in the final minute. Out of the shotgun. Fires complete. It goes to the rookie Reggie Williams from Washington, the #1 draft pick of the Jaguars. Jacksonville with 320-pound guard Chris Naoli. He gives Fred Taylor lots of running room. And speaking of Taylor, he seeks his first 100-yard game of the season today, Dan.
And he is such an explosive running back, Dick. And right now we've got an injured Colt down on the field. That's Joseph Jefferson,
a
cornerback. I know that he had knee surgery back in August, and they have been so anxiously awaiting his return. And he plays one play, and he's injured. How unfortunate.
We'll check on Jefferson when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39. The new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution. And by IBM, the official on-demand business consultants for the NFL.
Let's look at this Joseph Jefferson. The good news is he had a knee injury, but he didn't hurt his knee. It appears that he stunned himself and something with his neck or head. He jumped up and he did run off the field, so at least his legs appear to be okay.
Leftwich hit in the backfield. Ball carrier Fred Taylor. And then staggers forward as Jim Nelson, backup linebacker, hit him first. Let's look at the Colts defense. Dwight Freeney hasn't had a sack in 3 games. That's a drought for him. Undersized linebacker Cato June epitomizes a defense built on speed. And safety Mike Doss returns from injury. He's been out since the opener against New England. And Joseph Jefferson coming back along with their top draft pick Bob Sanders this week. But Jefferson one play and injured. Second and long, Leftwich to Taylor. Well, there's some heady running by Taylor. Very patient. He waited for the block and storms ahead for what could be a first down.
Well, we talked about Byron Leftwich and how important it is for him to stay healthy. A tough go last week. Here is his left shoulder when he's thrown to the ground. He thought he broke his collarbone, and here it's his right ankle caught underneath. So Byron Leftwich, hey, he's played in pain before. This was when he was in college. He completed a long pass. His offensive lineman carried him down the field to the huddle where he called another play and went in and threw another pass.
He was playing on a broken lower leg.
Oh, please.
It was a first down play by Taylor. Pump fake, a little dump off to Taylor, who makes it to the Colt 49 before Jim Nelson can make the stop for the Colts.
When you talk about a bad ankle like that, Dick, yes, until you get it hit or until somebody falls on it or until you really plant and really try to alter your direction at full speed, you will not know. He told Armin Katayan before the game, it's tender to the touch, but it's going to be interesting. And keep in mind, we're playing on a very hard and unforgiving surface here inside this dome.
Well, this is not the field turf. This is just carpet over concrete. Very little game that time for Florida in the 7th year out of the University of Florida. Just to follow up on the 2 injuries last week, Leftwich, the shoulder, saying I thought it was dislocated or broken, and his line yesterday to repeat what you said in the NFL today. He said it really hurt until I hurt my ankle, then I didn't hurt my shoulder. My shoulder felt okay.
Said my shoulder was fine. My ankle hurt so bad I didn't even notice it anymore. How's that for some pain tolerance?
He's a delightful young guy, and what a talent. Mark Edwards and Fred Taylor on 3rd and 1. It's Taylor hitting the backfield, breaks the tackle. I don't think he got the yard needed. Good defense. Dwight Freeney from defensive end was there first. And Josh Williams to follow up.
Well, the Jags run so much of their offense out of shotgun. This time it's a conventional, and they're trying to run a trap. But Freeney just blows it up by getting 3 yards into the backfield. Penetration, more than anything else, destroys a short yardage play. And Dwight Freeney, noted for pass rushing and sacks, that time shows that he really is a complete player.
Kicker Chris Hansen, left footer.
Is there a time?
You saw Jason David, and he has the fair catch at the 12-yard line, replacing Brad Pyatt with an injury. And now the Colts will bring out the 3 triplets.
With Edgerrin at my back and Marvin downfield, trust me, we'll be ready.
6.5 remaining in the opening quarter. Each team unable to tack a point on the board. And now it's the Colts who will start deep at their 12. 9 drives starting inside their own 23 touchdowns, so they can move it the distance. But when they get in the red zone, watch out. They score almost every time. Fake to James. And the screen and broken up brilliantly, diving right into the midst of that was Rob Meyer, the defensive end from Washington State.
Well, this is such a this defensive line has such height to it, and it's one of the concerns for the Colts. And you can see right there, I think actually Marcus Stroud might have actually hit the ball, number 99. He was right beside Meyer. But Meyer, Stroud, and Henderson, you know, these guys 6'5", 6'6", and 6'7". They bat a lot of balls.
Draw. James weaving his way across the 15. It'll be 3rd and long. A reminder, folks, you can get complete recaps from all of today's NFL games, plus insight from CBS Sportsline's NFL experts only at CBSSportsline.com.
There is Marcus Stroud, a modest-sized fellow at 6'6", 312. I only say modest-sized because next door, John Henderson, 6'7", 328.
2 young tackles. Boy, that bodes well for the future of the Jaguars. Tough to run against this team. Here comes the blitz, and Manning somehow eludes it and completes to Brandon Stokely on a 1st down. Oh, it looked like they had Manning there.
Well, boy, did Greg Favors get a tremendous jump on the ball. Was
1st down.
What a tremendous jump he got on the ball, and I think that's how good a jump he got. He was across the line of scrimmage. Coming in from the right side, you can see that Favors got by right tackle Ryan Dean before he was hardly even out of his stance. But nonetheless, Peyton Manning completes the pass to Stokely. And Stokely, what a wonderful compliment he has become in this Indianapolis passing offense.
That's his 11th catch on 3rd down this year. Play action, lots of time underneath. James, just a safety valve, and he's out to the 33-yard line. Gaining 5-6 yards on 1st down. And here's Peyton Manning and this Colts offense. They'll huddle as they start a series, and then they don't huddle. But he calls the plays, uses all the gyrations and calls, hand signals, and Tom Moore relays 3 plays to him. And Peyton says, I know Tom Moore so well. Usually when he gives me the first one, I know the other 2. Hard running by James will leave it 3rd and 1. Mike Peterson, the ex-Colt, has his first tackle.
Well, Dick, the reason he knows it so well is because Tom Moore and Peyton Manning have been together now for 7 years, and in a league of constant change and influx of people coming and going and coaches here for this has been an extraordinary relationship, and continuity has meant so much to this Colts offense. Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Marcus Pollard, this offensive line, Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach. They've all been together now for 7 years. What a wonderful thing.
They think as one. James thinking 1st down and more, and he's out to the 44. Safety Deion Grant down low to make the tackle.
Well, you can't run the football on Jacksonville unless you account for the big guys in the middle. Stroud and Henderson both rerouted and taken a little bit out of their normal lanes. That opened it up for Edgerrin James. But talk about 2 guys that can disrupt everything. It's Mike Peterson is the luckiest guy in the world, the middle linebacker, to have those 2 road graders in front of him clearing the way.
Meanwhile, Edgerrin James showing the league that he's back to full 100% ability since that knee injury 3 years ago. Deion Grant making the tackle there after a short gain. as James is number 5 in the National Football League in rushing. As you can see, is you take his very career best in those categories and compare it with 2004, and he is back.
Yeah, now that's a compilation on the left. Those are the best he's ever had in all of his years here in the league. And then to the right, that is what he's doing this year. And boy, that's when you're putting together a season that mirrors the best you've ever done, you're going.
Just 26 years of age out of Miami, of Florida. Fake to James. Stokely. Follow the ball, and Jacksonville scrambling to get it. There are 5 white shirts and Stokely, and no signal yet. There it is, the Jaguars with the first turnover, and Mike Peterson, of all people, the former middle backer or outside linebacker here in Indianapolis, comes up with the ball.
Is he
Donovan
down?
Darius makes the tackle. Well, the Colts are no different than any of the top teams in the league. When they lose the turnover battle, that's when you can beat them. And Jacksonville strikes with a hard hit. The fumble recovery at the 48-yard line, and they come out with an empty backfield. Leftwich. Quick toss to the sideline to Taylor as they lined him wide, and it's an 11-yard pickup. First down at the 37.
Well, let's go back and look at that fumble by Brandon Stokely. Mathis is going to be the guy that reaches in, but coming right at him there, Donovan Darius, what a hit. He actually submarines and goes in, and his helmet goes right onto the football. Look at him go underneath, and his helmet actually strikes the arm and the football of Brandon Stokely, clearing it out. Of course, Donovan Darius delivering a big hit. Nothing new in this league. He's been doing it for 7 years.
Taylor and Edwards split behind Leftwich on first down. Flag down. And the give off inside for short yardage. And Bashir makes the tackle.
Well, you can tell
Offside.
anytime you're looking at a
Defense.
guy
Number 90, 5-yard penalty. First down.
that's been in the league for 6 years, and that's only the second time he's lost a fumble. That's a sure-handed player.
Now he's one that Peyton Manning actually campaigned General Manager Bill Polian to bring here to Indianapolis. Knew him going way back to Manning passing academy days when Stokely was in college.
Well, I look at that less as a mistake by Stokely and more of a brilliant play by Donovan Darius.
After the penalty, 1st and 5. Taylor fumbled the ball, and it went right to a Jacksonville neighbor. Chris Naoli, the right guard, is there. Drees Bashir trying to show a little safety hit of his own for Indianapolis.
Well, initially it was really good blocking by the Jaguars offensive line. They got Fred Taylor an awfully good look upfield, but you can see right there again, in comes Bashir. He puts his helmet on the football.
Final minute of the opening quarter. The Jags have been outscored 31-7 in the first quarter this year. Trying to turn that around here in Indy. 2nd and short. The throw is complete to Jimmy Smith. The veteran Smith has his first catch, and we throw it to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, in Baltimore, Drew Bledsoe back to throw. The ball is tipped, and who's there when it comes down? Deion Sanders, 49 yards, the 9th time he has returned an interception for a touchdown in his career, and the Ravens lead Buffalo 10-3. Guys?
Okay, there's still some neon in Deion.
Yes, there he is. What is he, 37?
Going on 47, I think. There's Taylor, big yardage, chewing it up inside the 10 to the 9 before June and Bashir can collaborate and drag him down. 1st and goal, Jacksonville at the end of the first quarter here at the RCA Dome. No score. Welcome back to Indianapolis. 2nd quarter. Dick Enberg, Dan Dierdorf, Armin Katayan. 1st and goal, Jacksonville, as they attempt to strike first after the Fumble forced on Brandon Stokely by the Darius hit, and Peterson recover. Fred Taylor finding good yardage inside, running the ball. Worked 27 yards. He takes the inside handoff to the 5, and look at him plow down to close to the 2-yard line.
Dick, let's go back just a couple of plays, and look what Dwight Freeney here gets around Salam, but watch the left shoulder of Byron Leftwich. That's his bad shoulder, and he comes down right on top of it. Now, since then, they've been handing off the ball to that guy, Fred Taylor, and I would think that is a very good idea here to establish this running game. Byron Leftwich is not going to be able to take a whole lot more of that type of punishment from this Indianapolis defensive line. Give Taylor the football.
2nd and goal at the 3. Taylor. And he's stuffed. No gain. David Thornton, who shares the tackle lead for Indianapolis with Cato June, 40 tackles each, made the initial contact.
Well, this is just trying to stuff it in off a left guard, just power football. But you can see the pad level there. The Colts did not get moved off the line of scrimmage. You know, the Colts run defense, even by Tony Dungy's own admission, hasn't really been tested very much, mainly because they're last in the league against the pass.
Actually a loss of a yard. Ball at the 4. That's Todd Yoder, tight end in motion. Leftwich fires, and it is a touchdown to Kyle Brady. The veteran tight end from Penn State has his first touchdown grab of the year. And did Leftwich ever fire a fastball?
Well, Rob Morris, the middle linebacker there in the middle of your screen, number 94, he's got Brady, but for some reason, I don't know if he doesn't realize he doesn't have any help off to his left or whatever. He gives Brady all sorts of room over there instead of moving in front and becoming an obstacle. He just kind of stands there and loses track of Kyle Brady.
Josh Scobie adds the extra point. So the turnover leads to 7 points for Jacksonville. 48 yards in 7 plays. Leftwich to Brady. Brandon Stokely on the sidelines. His fumble when drilled by Darius goes 48 yards after the recovery by Jacksonville to the touchdown. Scobie to Dominique Rhodes. Rhodes cross field looking for an alley, and a flag goes down, and so does Rhodes at the 15-yard line. Tommy Hendricks on special teams for the Jaguars.
Holding, receiving team, number 76, half the distance to the goal. First down. Timeout.
Makoa Freitas. And when you run laterally like that for that distance, often you get a penalty. 7-0 Jaguars. Back in Hoosier country, a reminder, Shannon Sharp. He'll tell you what he thinks. You'll get it at NFL.com or at NFL on AOL. Well, once again, Tony Dungy's Colts backed up deep as they start this sequence. 8-yard line, 13-yard line, 12, and now the 8 in their 3 possessions. And did he pull Jacksonville offside, or did he pull his own lineman offside?
Illegal snap.
The illegal snap, the call against center Jeff Saturday.
Well, Peyton Manning got behind, and all of a sudden he realized he went to the play clock, and right there, Jeff Saturday, the ball comes halfway up. Talk about no man's land. What do you do with it after that?
That's right. You can't tuck it away and run it, can you?
That's the proverbial hand in the cookie jar right there.
4th penalty today in this first half for Indianapolis. Out of character. Fake to James. Fires. Oh, that's going to be a penalty as Stokely is nailed by Deion Grant.
Pass interference. Defense, number 37. Automatic first down.
It is interesting. Manning went right back to Stokely.
Well, that's he doesn't even remember the fumble. But Brandon Stokely just running it to the sideline, never turning it upfield, and a really good look there. Deion Grant getting the right arm behind the back of Brandon Stokely about a second before the ball gets there and yanking him.
18-yard penalty and a ball out to the 22. Look at all that audible work. Some is window dressing and some really mean something as James runs into his own blocker and Deion Grant right there to secure the tackle.
Dick, when you win 4 games in a row, maybe a bye isn't the best thing. Now Tony Dungy said, well, for his Colts team, the bye came at a good time in terms of injuries, that he got Mike Doss back and he got Joe Jefferson back and he got Bob Sanders suited up for the first time. But talk about momentum. That is a good way to interrupt momentum. And right now the Colts look like a team that has had their momentum interrupted.
Loss of a yard on first down. Manning underneath, complete, and it's Stokely again to the 38-yard line and another Colts first down.
It's a good life in the rocking chair when you got Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne on either side of you. Brandon Stokely sometimes gets a lot of room to work inside out of that slot position. And again, here you see he's working against Jacksonville and Mathis kind of in a combination man zone, giving him some room to the outside, and by the time he can make a break on the ball, good luck. Manning has thrown it before the break.
As you saw, Stat Tracks, third catch, 29 yards for Stokely in the first half. Manning, wide open, Stokely again to the 30 and to the 25, and he pays the price as Jerron Bolden. Solid tackle, but another big gain. Manning to Stokely.
Well, Brandon Stokely starts right here in the slot again as he comes down the field. But again, I credit these guys here. Look how long Peyton Manning has to throw the football. Look how he sits there. He's never challenged. You cannot allow Peyton Manning to just sit in that pocket and survey the field. Any quarterback in the NFL can hurt you. Peyton Manning will destroy you.
Too many options for Manning, and he does see where every one of his blue targets are located. Underneath, wide open this time, Marvin Harrison. And Harrison to the 16. Bolden again, the tackler. But on this drive, it's been Brandon Stokely, 3 catches. The last one for 38 yards. And the Colts are in scoring position at the 16.
And they finally are out of the bad field position syndrome. Like you said, Dick, 3 bad starts inside their own 15. And now Mike Smith trying to come up with something that you do not want to all-out blitz Peyton Manning. That's what every defensive coordinator in the league knows. That is a guaranteed way to get torched.
And they can play around on this 2nd and 2. And the Colts, as we said earlier, they are incredibly successful in the red zone. James ducks one tackler. He's to the 10. And he's down at the 7, first and goal. You know, you hear it all around the league, Dan, about the red zone problems, but here are the Colts, 12 straight touchdowns in the red zone.
Well, Jacksonville's got to tackle better than that, because I believe it's Marcus Stroud right there, goes right over the top of Hedger and James. Now that might be where being 6'6" is not a plus, because Stroud, he tried to bend over, but Hedger and James just ducked and scooted right underneath him.
James is 6 feet tall, but he got real small. At the 7. Manning. Touchdown! Marvin Harrison. They've hit for their 72nd time.
Well, guess what? After all the attention that Brandon Stokely's been receiving from Peyton Manning, this time Jacksonville's defense swarms Stokely, and Marvin Harrison is a beneficiary for a touchdown.
And Peyton Manning was just immaculate, and that drive. Ties it up as Vanderjagt. Manning was 4 for 4, 69 yards, 3 to Stokely, and the touchdown 7 yards to marvelous Marvin Harrison. It's tied at 7.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Circuit City. For the hottest new technology, think Circuit City. Just what I needed. Fidelity Investments. Stop by your local Fidelity Investor Center today. And by UPS. What can Brown do for you?
As you can see, they're attending Marvin Harrison. He was slammed hard to the ground after catching that touchdown pass. Checking both his shoulder and his helmet really hit hard against the turf. Mike Vanderjagt, now the all-time leading scorer in Indianapolis history with that last extra point. And it's Troy Edwards returning out across the 25-yard line. 9:18 left in the first half. There's the hit on Harrison. Tonight on CBS, a murder victim is talking from beyond the grave, and one woman is listening. Anne Hayes stars in the world premiere movie The Dead Will Tell tonight at 9, 8 Central on CBS, America's most watched network. 7-7 here in the second quarter, 9:18 left. Leftwich over the middle, complete to Todd Yoder as tight end, and Yoder bowls his way out close to a first down at the 40.
Here is a pretty pattern run by the Colts. Marcus Pollard up, out. Here's Dallas Clark up, out. And over here is Marvin Harrison, who's going to come down across the back of the end zone behind all the confusion in front. Marvin Harrison's getting singled by Mathis in the back, and it is an easy strike for Peyton Manning. But boy, did Marvin Harrison hit the ground hard. He is shaken up. He has medical personnel talking to him over there. He's rattled.
Second and inches, big Greg Jones, the rookie from Florida State, 250-pounder in the backfield. And that's Jones pulling his way for 6 in the first down. Let's go down to Armin.
You're absolutely right. It's about the last 4 or 5 minutes or so, and as you can see right now, Marvin Harrison, just a lot of attention to that left shoulder area, that left rib area. He is in a lot of pain, but I would expect we'll see him back out on the field. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Armin. Of course, Harrison, part of this franchise success in the last few years with Manning and Edgerrin, and then Reggie Wayne joining, and now Brandon Stokely as well. What firepower. Jones stays in. He's 6'1" and 250. Leftwich smothered, and down he goes. The first sack of the game, and give it to Dwight Freeney. So he's broken out of that slump. No sacks the last 3 games.
I think Dwight Freeney gets a 5-finger sack. He's watch the pocket here collapse. That's Dwight Freeney on your lower right. But Freeney is past him, reaches in, and look, he just grabs his jersey with his fingernails and gets the sack. How strong is Freeney? Wow, it takes a strong guy to drag Byron Leftwich down with one hand.
Freeney with 24 sacks the last 2 years. That's his 3rd this year. Leftwich to the sideline, and it's complete to Troy Edwards, and he's smothered by 4 or 5 tacklers at the 44, and that's part of the system here. Lots of speed. They're not oversized, this Indianapolis team, but they do run to the ball.
Well, watching the way they collapsed Jack Del Rio's pocket right there was reminiscent of what Tony told us yesterday, Tony Dungy, saying, you know what, Leftwich is so adept for a second-year guy of handling the blitz. We're going to drop back into coverage, and I'm hopeful that my front 4 can get the pressure. And so far, they've been getting decent pressure on Byron Leftwich.
You see the baby-faced Leftwich down to the shotgun. He's perfect, 7 for 7 in this first half. Little shovel pass to Taylor, breaks 1 tackle, and he's got the first down and more. The 40, the 30, and down to the 26-yard line. A little short shovel is a long, long run.
Ooh, Dwight Freeney sniffed this play and just wasn't able to get back in on it quickly enough. Watch Freeney there at the bottom. He knows that Fred Taylor, that was a half-hearted block, but it was effective by Taylor. He sold it long enough that he was blocking and then dropped out into the screen. See, here's Freeney, uncontested. See, that's Fred Taylor. But he gives him a shot, and then he separates enough to be able to run that little delayed pattern. That was well done by Taylor.
Right back to Greg Jones, giving Taylor a breather, and they gang up on him. Short gain at best. David Thornton led the charge. Tennessee, Minnesota. What's the latest, Greg Gumbel?
All right, Dick, Minnesota's broken a 3-3 tie. Mo Williams from a yard out scores to put the Vikings up 10-3. The problem for the Titans, that sternum injury has come back to haunt Steve McNair. His return today is questionable.
Well, that's not good news at all against the high-scoring Vikings, the top-scoring team in the NFL, along with the Indianapolis Colts. And what a start for Leftwich, 8 for 8. Manning has missed on only 2 throws. 2nd and 8. Leftwich wide open is rookie Reggie Williams, and Williams hit by Nick Harper short of the first down.
Well, keep in mind, this is an Indianapolis pass defense that gives up almost 300 yards a game. And I'll tell you what, Nick Harper, it's lucky that he was in the same picture with Reggie Williams. That is some cushion. It's not a good thing when the corner providing the coverage is barely in the screen.
2 yards shy of the first down, however. Leftwich is now perfect at 9 for 9. For 10 and a first down to Taylor at the 11-yard line. Cato June, the tackler.
Well, you notice now that the Jags are going to a shorter, crisper 3-step drop, or in the shotgun a 1-step and a release, and they're really finding all that room underneath this Indianapolis defense. And right now the Jaguars offensively, Dick, I think are showing a lot of patience in working underneath, and Bill Musgrave calling and taking advantage of what Indianapolis is delivering, which is lots of room.
They can get a first down at the 1-yard line. Taylor zigging and zagging and gains nearly 6 before Nick Harper can slide over from his corner spot to help out on the tackle.
That is Ron Meeks, the Colts defensive coordinator, working from the sideline. And yes, it has been a struggle at times. They don't give up points quite in the same proportion as to the yardage they give up. NFL rankings defensively and offensively in terms of yards. And I think we all would realize that points is really the most important factor. But boy, they give up a ton of yards.
LeBrandon Tofield is now in the backfield for the first time with Leftwich. And no play. Mike Compton may have pulled off his stance, and the false start will bite the Jaguars for 5.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, left guard, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
What a presence Fred Taylor has been in this first half, Dan. 38 yards rushing, 56 more with his receiving, 6 yards shy of 100 yards in the half.
Well, Jimmy Smith, a tremendous threat at wide receiver, but let's not kid ourselves. Fred Taylor is the most explosive member of the Jaguars offense. He is capable of big time. Keep in mind, this is a guy that's cranked out over 1,500 yards in a year before. 1,572 last year, to be precise.
Being rested now, Tofield, the running back. Ball at the 10, 2nd and a short 9. Leftwich down the middle, complete to his tight end, Brian Jones. It's 11 in a row today, plus 5 straight at the end of the game last week against Kansas City. So 16 consecutive completions for Byron Leftwich as Taylor returns.
And the Colts were offside on that play. Robert Mathis tried to get a head start. He was across the line of scrimmage.
Got a quick look at Bob Sanders from Iowa, the rookie, finally seeing his first duty with the Colts, recovering from an injury in his senior year at Iowa and operations, and they're anxious to get this kid in the lineup. They feel he's a playmaker. So the penalty takes it to the 5. 2nd and 4. Taylor's back in. has the ball. And he is surrounded and dropped for a loss. Raheem Brock, the defensive end from Temple, there first.
This is what the Colts have done. I talked a moment ago about how much yardage they've given up, but they also come up with big plays. In critical situations, they come up with key stoppages. This appeared to be one of them. 2-minute warning.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by GMC Trucks and SUVs. We are professional grade. And by the coldest tasting beer in the world, Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL and Super Bowl 39.
Tied at 7 here, coming up at halftime. The Nextel halftime report. You'll get all the scores and highlights of the early games. That's on the Nextel halftime report. 3rd down and 7. Ball at the 8. Taylor, the running back. Leftwich down the middle, incomplete. Too tall for Brian Jones. And the field goal unit will come on for Jacksonville.
And that's frustrating for Jack Del Rio. On the road, settling for field goals instead of touchdowns is not necessarily the key to success. They were in wonderful position inside the 5-yard line and now had to settle for this Scobie attempt at a field goal.
First missed pass by Leftwich. No wonder this first half has flown by. Scobie, a 26-yard attempt.
And flown by it has.
And the young man from Louisiana Tech, it makes it 6 out of 8 on his first NFL season. Jacksonville leads by 3. 1:52 left before the intermission. So Josh Scobie will kick it off after giving Jacksonville a 10-7 lead. The big play on that last drive, the 31-yard shovel pass from Leftwich to Fred Taylor. Marvin Harrison, we'll see whether or not he'll return to duty. Talking with Peyton Manning. Manning, we saw him warming up like a relief pitcher while Jacksonville had the ball. He hasn't had a lot of chance to throw the ball. Deep is the hit to Rhodes, and he hesitates and then takes the 20-yard line.
Well, what a first half Byron Leftwich has had. Keep in mind, he came into this game with a sore left shoulder and ankle, and right there, Dwight Freeney really hits him hard. And then what's he do? He responds by hitting 10 of his next 11 passes, including that touchdown pass to Brady. And again, he is, as he does a lot, Byron Leftwich gets the ball to a lot of people, but I like the fact, get it to Fred Taylor as often as you can. He is the game breaker.
Look at the comparison there. 1 miss by Leftwich and only 2 incomplete passes from Manning. So the clock hasn't stopped this first half. Everyone's catching the ball. Now let's see what Manning can do with 1:52 remaining before the break. And he goes down at the 10 as Greg Favors, who's playing defensive end. They've been decimated at that position, Jacksonville. They lost Lionel Barnes and Paul Spicer. Favors doing the job with the sack. Back after that Colts timeout, and the Nextel halftime report ahead with Greg Dan Shannon, Boomer, all the latest NFL scores and highlights, our early games coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
There's Greg Favors. You see he's working against Dallas Clark, a tight end, and that is really a mismatch. He gives him a little upfield fake, then crosses his face and tramples Peyton Manning.
Only the 4th time Manning sacked this year. Little dump off to Etrin James, 20, and down to the 23-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 7. Sacked 2 times in 215 career dropbacks to throw against the Jaguars, and only 4 times all this season.
Well, they were tied for the NFL lead with only 3 coming into this game. Great pass pro.
That'll be good enough for a first down. DeMarcus Pollard, the tight end, has his first reception at the 36. Clock running, 1:12, and this is what the Colts do best.
Is this Peyton in his element or what?
That no huddle, which they use more deliberately now in a real hurry up. And it's Stokely again to the 50-yard line. And a flag down back where Manning threw the ball.
Holding, offense, number 78, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's a drive killer as Tariq Glenn holding Aiken Adele, who came in on a blitz. 6th penalty for the team least penalized in this early season. So instead of the ball out at midfield, they mark it back to the just outside the 25.
Well, it's out of character for Indianapolis to commit these penalties, but you know something? Good teams force other teams into penalties, and that's what Jacksonville is doing to Indianapolis. They're doing it because they're playing against good football players.
One of the top defenses in the league. Screen it. James 30, 40, almost twisted away from Deke Cooper, an extra defensive back. Not enough for a first down, however, at the 41. Clock ticking. Colts have 2 timeouts left.
I'll bet you Peyton Manning's heartbeat isn't 1 beat over normal.
Deflected, and Harrison still caught the ball.
Come on.
Deflected, and Harrison somehow able to keep his concentration, make the catch. First down, timeout. Colts will have 1 left. Mike Vanderjagt keeping that leg loose. They'd like to get down to the target line for him, which would be a 36-37 yard line, get the 53-yard attempt. That would be well within his range here indoors.
But keep in mind, he's got a sore right hamstring. He didn't play 2 weeks ago in the game against Oakland. So there's a bit of a question mark there.
First down at the 46. That hard count of Manning. The throw to the sidelines to Harrison, twists out of bounds. That stops the clock and gets yardage too at the 43 of Jacksonville. So another 10 yards and they're in his target range.
Just a simple little out pattern by Marvin against the Jacksonville zone. That looked too easy.
10-7 the Jaguars lead, and Manning now 14 for 16, 175 yards and a touchdown here in the half. Fake to James. Down the middle. Complete to this 17-yard line. Timeout, Indianapolis, with 20 seconds left. Did he thread that one through the defense? Oh, my. Peyton Manning and Byron Leftwich putting on a passing clinic. Completion, completion, completion.
Marcus Pollard is just running a seam pattern right down the middle of the field. And take a look at that absolutely needle-threading throw by Peyton Manning. And yes, he has many weapons, and Big Marcus is one of them.
So down to the 17-yard line with 20 seconds left. Fake to James. Throw to Harrison, incomplete. And Harrison didn't tip his hand, but Jerron Bolden tipped the ball. Harrison looking as if he wasn't the receiver.
Well, Bolden did a fine job of staying with Marvin Harrison. He's not playing the football. Look at him. He's reading the eyes, and then at the last minute, he turns around. That is textbook coverage by a cornerback.
Bolden from Mississippi Delta Junior College, free agent pickup from Atlanta. No timeouts for the Colts now. 16 seconds to go in the half.
This is perilous if they throw this in the field to play. They're going to have to hustle to kill the clock.
Throw is complete. Touchdown. Dallas Clark, the tight end.
Well, you don't have to worry about running up to the line of scrimmage in a hurry when you throw a touchdown pass. And
that is absolutely remarkable, Dan. Yeah. 14 straight times the Colts have scored touchdowns when entering the red zone.
And another situation where the tight end goes right up the seam. Boy, they love to work the middle of the football field.
Manning with 2 more touchdowns, now with 16 this season in just 6 games. Well, actually 5.5. Vanderjagt the extra point. 80 yards, 9 plays in a minute 40 seconds. And here's the payoff to the smiling Dallas Clark. 17
here he is
yards.
Right here, and watch him come right on up the field. It's just a simple release to the outside, then the seam right up the middle, right in between the 2 safeties. And before either one of the safeties can react, Peyton Manning has delivered the ball. There goes Dallas Clark. Right now, he's right between the safeties. Wow. Peyton Manning, an artiste at work in that 2-minute drill. That was something special.
That's a virtuoso drive from Manning. Certainly one of the best, and as we said earlier, a top candidate for MVP again this year.
Well, look at that. 1 minute and 40 seconds, 80 yards, which, by the way, was by far and away their best field position of the day, starting at their own 20.
And then they had to make up for the holding penalty in there, too. No, actually, they had to go 90 yards. Jack Del Rio said, thought we had him in check, but Manning putting on a clinic. Takes him downfield and now has 218 yards in the half.
You know what he's thinking, Dick? I have seen this before, and I don't like it.
14 consecutive red zone possessions with a touchdown just to score. A lot of, you might see 10 and 3 field goals or almost score every time something, but for the Colts it's 7 points each time. Little onside kick by Vanderjagt goes right to Mark Edwards, and Edwards out to the 40. Somebody losing their helmet for the Jaguars. Jim Nelson makes the tackle. 6 seconds left in the half. Mike Peterson likes to talk. They're jabbing with one of his former friends. Well, tonight on CBS, Jon Stewart doesn't play favorites. You know that. He zings everybody, including 60 Minutes. That's tonight after football, followed by a new episode of Cold Case then, and Hey Stars and The Dead Will Tell. All tonight, a big lineup on CBS, America's most watched network. Well, Leftwich sends 2 receivers to the right and Troy Edwards to the left. Let's see if he just tries one long.
Hey, I would.
prayer.
Why not? See if you get a penalty. If you got a penalty against Indianapolis, you could line up and kick a field goal.
He's got the long arm, but he has to lateral it off to Taylor to avoid the sack, and Taylor out to the 49-yard line in the grasp of David Thornton. The first half comes to an end, and the Colts fans love that last drive that gave Indianapolis a 14-10 halftime lead. Jack Del Rio will go reorganize, and meanwhile Tony Dungy stops to talk with Armin.
Coach, this has a look of one of those games where you're going to have to make the most of every offensive opportunity.
Yeah, you are. We haven't been real sharp. We have a lot of penalties, and we haven't gotten the ball back from them, so we haven't had many drives.
All right, Coach, thank you. Dick.
All right, thank you, Armin. That's the end of the first half. 14-10 Indianapolis. Back with the Nextel halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back at the RCA Dome, ready for the second half. Dan, some big numbers.
Yes, some big numbers. And, of course, I think you look at Indianapolis, only 35 yards rushing. I thought they would involve James more than that. But, obviously, the passing of Peyton Manning has been something very special to see, Dick.
And does a team ever rally more around that kind of drive?
Well, we knew he was in his environment trying to make something happen in a hurry. And the last drive, they cover the 80 yards. They start on their own 20, working everybody. Marcus Pollard, then he's working the sidelines. Marvin Harrison 2 times in a row. And then he finds Dallas Clark here with the touchdown in the end zone. But it was such precision. It was a beautiful thing to watch. I'm sorry, folks in Jacksonville, but that's just fun.
You can watch a lot of NFL games and a lot of drives, but that was about as perfect as a quarterback can play. Mike Vanderjagt in Jacksonville trailing 14-10. Will open the second half with the ball. Troy Edwards to the 15. He's got a lot of room on the far side. 20. And finally cut down by Joseph Jefferson. How about the fantasy notebook, Mr. Deerdorf?
Well, for those of you keeping track, let's check up and see who's doing what to whom. Look at the magnificent percentages of these two, although Leftwich working for fewer yards. Peyton Manning over 200 for the half. Edgerrin James with 35. Fred Taylor, I think Jacksonville has got to keep him involved in their offense. And you look to the right, there's the guys who are dominating, although Fred Taylor being the main receiver for Jacksonville, their wideouts yet to get involved in this football game.
They start here at the 25 with 3 wideouts and Taylor in the backfield. Leftwich fires incomplete to the rookie Williams. Had 2 catches in the first half. Down to Armin Katayan.
Thanks, Dick. Well, talking to Jack Del Rio, the Jags coach, he said the big thing I told the team was to just stay aggressive defensively. He said we kind of went into this prevent defense that last drive by the Colts. All that did was prevent us from finishing the half well. I said, do you think this thing could go down to the wire? He smiled. He said it wouldn't surprise me. Our two teams have a way of doing that when we play each other. Back to you.
Isn't that true, Armin? The first game was down to the last minute, and one big play on 4th and 1, the stop by Indianapolis, saved their victory 24-17.
That's, fans have always blamed coaches for going into the prevent defense. That's the first time I ever heard a coach blame himself.
That's right. Leftwich hits as he throws, and almost intercepted by Jason David. Yes, they're going to call it a catch.
Well, I'm with you. I thought that ball, at first glance, it looks like that ball hit the ground.
David, who had an interception for a touchdown in the last game against the Raiders, and how did he ever get his hands between the turf and the ball?
Well, here's what happens to Brian Leftwich as he tries to set up in the pocket. You can see he's under pressure again by Dwight Freeney, knocking him backwards as he throws, and that's why the ball is underthrown, and David makes a play on it. This will tell us, oh, absolutely he got his hands underneath it.
His second interception in 2 games, so the ball taken by the Colts at the 40, and Manning steps up and throws down the middle, and Stokely. And he was in a battle with Deion Grant for that one. Grant had his sights set on a return interception. That's an aggressive, active, deep secondary for Jacksonville with Darius and Grant in the middle, Mathis and Washington on the corners. Grant, free agent pickup from Carolina, was a Super Bowl starter last year. Crowd settling in after the intermission. And there's a handoff to James, and he's horse-collared by Marcus Stroud. He didn't duck under Stroud that time.
No, he did not. Although he wishes he would have tried. Marcus Stroud, who went to the Pro Bowl a year ago, has great range for a defensive tackle. See, look at the ground he has to cover. We saw an era of defensive tackles, the Tony Saraguses, who only covered like a yard either direction of where they lined up. Well, Marcus Stroud is not that type of tackle. He's like the Richard Seymour, his old college classman. Guys who can run and have a lot of range for big guys.
What a Georgia team. Those two guys, Seymour and Stroud, shoulder to shoulder in the defensive line. James into the flat, and a good open field tackle by Deke Cooper, the former Notre Dame player. And of course, here in Indiana, they're looking for a little football sunshine today. All 3 collegiate teams, Notre Dame, Purdue, Indiana, losing yesterday, so it's on the Colts.
Aren't you the bearer of glad tidings here?
I have a tendency to follow those 3 teams, some attachments. So
well, I won't tell you, I had a vested interest in the Purdue game, but
yes, you did.
I'm not bragging about it here in Indiana. I'd like to get out of town first.
Cross the line. You'll be in Ann Arbor shortly. Hunter Smith driving. Boy, does he have a great leg to the sidelines. Look at that kick. Out of bounds. That's the old coffin corner at the 7-yard line. What a kick by Smith. 49 yards. Kid from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., grew up on the streets, played his football there, and he swears that he and his brother hit by cars. They kept on going. He says that's where the pain threshold all developed. Taylor and Edwards behind him. They start at the 7. From his goal line, underneath to Edwards, the fullback, and he gains 3 into the arms of Bashir. Leftwich, who as any kid would, was those days. Joe Gibbs, Washington Redskins, followed the Redskins, and Doug Williams and Jay Schrader and Joe Theismann. He said all those quarterbacks that wore that maroon jersey were my favorites.
Although I have to admit, I've been doing this for a long time. He's the first one I ever heard say for a while I wanted to be Jay Schrader.
I knew where you were going.
I was waiting for Billy Kilmer to surface in that conversation.
He guns this one, and it's complete at the 19. A first down to Jimmy Smith. Armin, what do you have for us?
Well, guys, talking about Byron Leftwich, he had a decent rookie year at 2,800 yards, 4th most by a rookie in the history of the National Football League, but also 16 interceptions and 11 fumbles. He decided to step it up. Going in at 5:30 in the morning, studying film. He became a workout fiend, changed his diet, ditched fast foods. He shed 10 pounds. He said, some people say you can't be a great quarterback until you're 30. I don't want to wait. I want to be the best as quickly as I can. Dick?
Yeah, very good. He's only 24. Taylor on the delay. And he finds some running room again up the middle and slammed down at the 29. A yard shot of a first down by Mike Doss, the second-year safety from Ohio State, who returns from injury.
And a big return it is. Mike Doss coming back. He got hurt in the first game, got hurt in the New England game, hurt his hamstring, and his return along with Joseph Jefferson, and finally, as you mentioned earlier, getting Bob Sanders suited up. Tony Dungy said, hey, you look at us being last in the league against the pass. That's going to change with the return of all these new guys in the secondary.
Second, it's a short 2. Flag before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 44, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Fullback Mark Edwards. Reminder, tomorrow night on The Late Show, Dave gets some tough love from Dr. Phil, plus CSI New York's Gary Sinise. That's Monday night right here on CBS, America's most watched network. That didn't please Coach Del Rio, 41. Just 4 months older than the youngest coach in the league, John Gruden.
He's got a pretty good stare going too there. I think Gruden's got nothing on Del Rio with that look. Mark Edwards better do something pretty good here.
2nd and 7 after the penalty. Leftwich fires incomplete through the hands of Reggie Williams, a big target at 6'4". These two young receivers, Williams at 6'4", 223, and Ernest Wilford, Virginia Tech rookie, he also is 6'4" and 223. So they got some tall timber going downfield.
And Reggie Williams has some really good speed to go with that size. He's kind of a long strider, and he'll get better at learning how to get in and out of his patterns. But he's a big-time talent, and I think he's going to justify their drafting him in the first round.
Here comes the crowd on 3rd and 7. Leftwich on the run, throwing deep, and he hits Jimmy Smith, and the veteran Smith is all the way to the 11-yard line. What a throw on the run, a big rainbow right in the arms of the all-star Smith.
And Dwight Freeney forces Byron Leftwich again out of the pocket. Watch Freeney come in here at the top of your screen. He gets around Salam, so again it's total improvisation on the part of Byron Leftwich. Jimmy Smith, you would think at this point in time, I'm sorry, he's outrun the throw, but not even close, as Leftwich drops that in perfectly. Beautiful throw.
What did Leftwich say yesterday? Back to go to Toefield, and he is down to the 7-yard line. We asked about the speed downfield. He said, oh, the old guy, that 35-year-old old man, when the ball's in the air, I can't overthrow him, and there was a case in point.
Well, Jimmy's looking for some oxygen right now, and really, as I mentioned a moment ago, the outside receivers of the Jaguars really hadn't been a big part of this game. And finally, Jimmy Smith breaks loose, but again, that was all Byron Leftwich.
65-yard play, and you saw Smith leads the league and catches over 25 yards. That was his 9th. Toefield stays in. And on 2nd and 6, Leftwich looks to the end zone, and incomplete. Batted down. Might have been Raheem Brock. Linemen have become so adept at that play when they know they can't get in and cause trouble in the backfield, knowing where to put those big arms.
It was so frustrating. Here it is right here. It was so frustrating as an offensive lineman. You blocked your guy, you stuffed him at the line of scrimmage, you did everything perfectly, and then because he couldn't do anything else, he jumps up and hits the ball.
The big arm of Brock just came out of nowhere. 3rd down and 6. Leftwich again firing and caught down at the 3. Todd Yoder tried to get up and move forward. Let's see where they mark the ball. It's going to be short of the first down by a yard. And remember, this is a team, well, here comes the field goal unit. Del Rio likes to gamble. He has tried more 4th down conversions and made more than any team in the league. Gives you an indication how he thinks, but in this case he wants at least a 3 apparently. No, they're going to go for it. Yep, that's his character. 4th and 1 on the 2. And big Greg Jones, the 250-pound rookie, and Mark Edwards line up behind Leftwich. A whistle before the snap.
Well, Byron Leftwich gave a lot of body language, but they're pointing against Indianapolis. You know, the quarterback, when he's going through his cadence, isn't allowed to bob and move, and Byron Leftwich gave more than a little tremor. He did a whole shoulder jerk there. And what did he get Indianapolis offsides? I've seen quarterbacks called for less than that.
Initial signal was a false start.
Start and snap. Delay of game defense. Nose guard. Half the distance to the goal.
Well, that interpretation of just delay of game doesn't tell it all. Watch.
Well, the delay of game is saying that he tried. Well, I sure didn't see anything there. You could sure see Leftwich moving. I didn't see anybody move on the Colts defensive line. You know, normally they'll call delay game. If you try to get the offense to jump off sides by twitching, by, you know, simulating a pass rush, a quick move, they'll call delay of game because you tried to draw the offense into an offside. But I didn't see that movement on the part of the guys in the blue jerseys.
It becomes a 1-yard penalty, half the distance, and they bring the ball over for a measurement, apparently. Terry McCauley is our referee, and I like the way he makes quick calls. No delay with him. Now, first down. Oh, not quite. By that last link.
By Jimmy Dean. Do you see any movement here? He's just sliding down into position, the defensive end, which...
Well, I sure didn't see anything. He didn't swipe at the ball or do something like that.
Unless it was verbal. Unless it was verbal, you're not allowed to yell hut, or anything like that if you're a defensive lineman. I didn't see anything physical. You know what? You know, if you look at the helmet of one of the guys on the Colts defensive line, his head is moving. Maybe he was trying to simulate the snap count of the Jaguars. That's a penalty if he got caught for that. Boy, you don't see it very often.
So it's 4th and an inch at the 1.
One little link on the chain. That's all they need.
Mark Edwards, the fullback. The rookie Jones, the tailback. Leftwich wrestles the ball. Leftwich did not get the snap, and the Colts will take it, whether they recovered or not. Well, let's see where the ball was recovered. The pileup was at the 2, and now it looks closer to the 1.
But on 4th down, only the fumbling player can recover.
And Leftwich obviously was out of the play. Josh Williams recovered, number 96 for Indianapolis.
The ball never got off the ground. Brad Meester, the center, never got the ball up to Byron Leftwich. Oh, so close for such a big mistake. Let's take one more look at this fumbled exchange between Meester and Leftwich, and you can see the ball never even touched the hands of Byron Leftwich. For some reason, it slipped out of the center's hand.
From the 1-yard line, Manning throws downfield, incomplete. Oh my, Marvin Harrison streaking out past the 30. Do you think that Leftwich was trying to sneak, or was that going to be a running play?
You know, it's hard to tell because you never got to see him react coming away from center with the football. When you only need an inch and you have a quarterback the size of Byron Leftwich, I don't know why he wouldn't have tried it. And you can see right there, Jacksonville very unaccustomed to making mistakes in the red zone. But after that tremendous play to Jimmy Smith by Byron Leftwich, it's a shame for them to come away with nothing.
So the Colts still lead 14-10. Ball at the 1. The stretch play to Edgerrin James. And he gives them a little breathing room to the 7. Darius down low for the tackle.
Well, this is the bread and butter of the Colts offense, is that stretch play to Edgerrin James. And they call it the stretch play because it's Peyton Manning who has to stretch to make the handoff. Watch how he has to work to get the ball all the way out there to James. But it really strings out the defense. It makes them run laterally instead of coming upfield. And that's what you want to do. Make a defensive guy run sideways. Don't allow him to dictate the action by coming upfield.
Shotgun, needing 4 for a first down. Gets the umpire, incomplete. Carl Madsen, an ineligible receiver.
And Carl getting booed lustily by the folks here in Indianapolis.
Unenviable position in officiating.
Yes, it is. And he's got to hold his ground. He's just watching, and he's not looking at Peyton Manning. He's looking at the offensive and defensive linemen, trying to see if there's any holding or anything. Just unfortunate that he got hit.
As Hunter Smith fades the punt, this is only the 18th punt all year for Indianapolis. 23 touchdowns, 18 punts. Can they move the ball? High wobbler. Fair catch, Troy Edwards, and he lets it bounce. That's going to help out Indianapolis by about 15 more yards.
Why did he not catch that ball?
To the 37-yard line. He was at the 50.
He was right there.
56-yard punt thanks to the big roll. Time out at the RCA Dome. And welcome back to the RCA Dome. Jacksonville, after driving to the 1-yard line and being denied on the fumble with a chance for the lead, takes over at the 37. Taylor and Edwards in the backfield behind Leftwich. Fred Taylor, the veteran who holds 34 Jaguar rushing records, pushed back by Larry Triplett and company. Okay, here's the ballot on the best young wide receiver in the NFL. You can vote for those or cast a vote of your choice. Somebody just checked in. Larry Fitzgerald, Arizona gets one. Cast yours at NFL.com. 1-yard gain for Taylor. Wilford and Smith to the left, and to the right is Troy Edwards with Taylor behind Leftwich. Back to Taylor. Running room. 45. Midfield. 40. Big man can really eat up the yards all the way to the 33. Carolina, San Diego. Something happening there. Right, Greg?
Dick, at Carolina, the Chargers have finally come alive. LaDainian Tomlinson, handcuffed much of the first half, rips off an 8-yard touchdown run here, and with the extra point, the Chargers move ahead of the Panthers 7-6. Dick and Dan, back to you.
All right, LaDainian Tomlinson, some would argue the top running back in the league, and stifled a half, but gets San Diego in front.
And Dick, Fred Taylor tweaked something on that run. You could see him pull up a little bit as he stepped out of bounds, and he took himself out of the game.
That was a 29-yard run. Leftwich down the middle. Brady is wide open, and the tight end has a first down at the 12-yard line.
Here's Fred Taylor. Watch him at the very end of this run. It's nothing, doesn't appear to be anything huge, but he clearly, right there, you can see he pulled himself out and took himself to the sidelines voluntarily. Now he jogged over to the sideline and doesn't appear to be, if he was really bad, he'd be over on the bench having the trainers look at him.
First down at the 12-yard line. That was a 21-yard hookup with Brady, and Leftwich and Jacksonville leading up big chunks again. Oh, a direct snap to Tofield, and Tofield inside the 10. Dwight Freeney in on the stop.
Yeah, see, this is the old single wing. You know, we're taking a page out of the past. You can see in the background there Byron Leftwich carrying out the fake, acting like he's throwing the ball. Yeah, Bill Musgrave getting a little fancy. That took a little work in practice.
I don't remember that one in Bill Walsh's 49er West Coast playbook where Musgrave learned many of his lessons.
A disciple.
A gain of 4. Tofield stays in. Leftwich back in the shotgun. Underneath to Tofield, and he's to the 3-yard line. That'll be close to a first down. Nelson and Harper with a tackle, and we go down to Armand.
Fred Taylor just checking in the game now, Dick. I was actually on the Colts sideline when he ran by me. Looked like he just kind of tweaked something in that left leg, and then on here on the Jags sideline, I was watching him. They towed him off. He took a stretch. He's back in the game. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Armin. Third down and a yard, and Taylor, the 234-pound veteran, lines up behind Leftwich. 3-yard line. Taylor hit right in the hole. What a defensive play by Monte Rager and Nick Harper.
And no hesitation here. Jacksonville's going to kick the field goal, take their 3 and get out. Again, I talked earlier about how Indianapolis has this tendency defensively to come up with big plays at the opportune time. And here's another. Give up all sorts of yards, and at crunch time, they seem to make a big play. And that was Rager and Harper both combined, and that was huge.
23-yard attempt by Scobie. And he punches it through, and a flag goes down. Whoa, this could be roughing the kicker, and the flag thrown right at the spot where Scobie delivered the ball. And Dungy said get back to his defensive players.
Holding. Offense.
Goes the other
80.
way.
10-yard penalty. 4th down.
Yeah, it's right here on the right side. Coming in from the lower right-hand side of your... Yeah, Kyle Brady. That's the block in the back as he climbs all over Bob Sanders, the rookie who was trying to get in there for the block.
That's one of the reasons I like him. He's 4.4 speed at 206 pounds, and Sanders had gotten a step and was going after the block. So it won't be quite so easy for Scobie.
No, here's where a PAT becomes a nice-sized field goal.
Now it's 33 yards. Inside that right upright, and the Jacksonville Jaguars pull with it and won the battle for first place in the AFC South. Josh Scobie officially 32-yard field goal to pull Jacksonville within 1. One of the reasons the Jaguars drafted him in the 5th round was his long kickoffs. Only 20 of 68 college kickoffs were returned. He's shown that leg in this game. Let's see about this one. Very high, down to Dominique Rhodes, and Rhodes hit hard as he gets to the 24-yard line. 3:06 left in the 3rd. Leading by 1, Manning, and the Colts at the 24. Throw back to Clark. Says get over and block that man, then he drops the ball. And the Jaguars appear to have recovered, although a struggle continues. At the bottom of the pile, Jacksonville's ball at the 27-28-yard line. What happened to Clark? He was trying to move his blocker out of the way and drop the ball.
Well, it's a weak side screen set up by the play action stretch to the other side. And Dallas Clark, okay, he does his job on Greg Favors, but now he's trying to get Tariq Glenn to move. You know, Glenn didn't realize that Clark already had the ball, and instead of trying to get, and he just drops the ball. Wow.
Donovan Darius recovers, and a big break for Jacksonville. Trailing by only 1 at the 28-yard line, they take over late in the 3rd quarter. And Leftwich underneath and drills it complete to Troy Edwards just inside the 20-yard line. Gain of about 9. Well, you see all the vicious hitting in this game and no fumbles, and then you're out in the open. That's embarrassing.
Yes, it is embarrassing and costly. The Colts so far this game have had terrible field position. They've always had to start in their own territory, so any mistake they make is compounded by the fact that they're making it on their own side of the 50-yard line and making it too easy for Jacksonville.
Taylor in the game. He's been the workhorse. A long one on 2nd down. The throw to Smith. And that's complete to the 13-yard line. First down. Jason David on the coverage.
Let's one more time look at this. Look at Tariq Glenn. Does his hand actually hit that ball?
From that angle, it appears.
Does his left hand actually swing back? Yes, it does. Oh, I did not see that the first time we looked at that.
Great camera work.
Oh, yeah. Mark Wolf, our producer, and Bob Fishman, our director, spotted that in the truck. I did not see that. You're right. Tariq Glenn's left hand knocks that ball out of Dallas Clark's hand.
First down.
He still didn't have it secured very well.
He certainly didn't. Here's the rookie Jones. Couple of yards on first down. Cato June, who gives away 35 pounds on that exchange. Jones is 250, and June at linebacker is 215.
One more look at this. Not only that, his Tariq Glenn is stepping on the toe of Dallas Clark right there. Wow. That, I'm sure that looked a whole lot better Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when they ran it in practice than it did right there.
There weren't a lot of defenders over there.
Oh, no, it was going to be big yardage.
Empty backfield. Leftwich is going to run it. Bad ankle and all. And down he goes at the 8-yard line in the grasp of David Thornton. Leftwich, who has rushed for a couple of touchdowns this year.
And right now, Dick, this is so critical for Jacksonville to get in the end zone. Field goals on the road will kill you. 3 times now, Jacksonville, they've been at the 8-yard line once. They settled for a field goal. They were at the 2-yard line. They lost the fumble. They were at the 3-yard line. They settled for a field goal. Here they are again. Jack Del Rio knows the importance of getting touchdowns on the road instead of field goals.
They know they don't have to run a play, so the final seconds tick off here in the third quarter. They'll get to think about this big third down call to open the next period with Indianapolis in front, 14-13. Only 3 points for Jacksonville in that third quarter, but look how close they are. Leftwich fumbles at the 1-yard line on 4th and an inch, and then Taylor stuffed with a 3rd and 1. They settled for the field goal. Here they are again in the red zone. Another third down. 3rd and 5 to open the fourth quarter. Leftwich trying to give the Jags the lead. Runs it again. No. Throws it. It's batted down by Monte Rager, who made that tackle on the goal line of Taylor. And so out comes the field goal unit to take the lead on a 3.
Defensive line coaches just preach it. Stay active, move until you hear the whistle. And that's what Monte Rager does here, whose job, by the way, is not rushing the quarterback. They had a zone blitz on. He is dropping back into the middle, and boy, was he effective.
26-yard field goal attempt by Josh Scobie. And Jacksonville takes the lead 16-14 as they take advantage of the Dallas Clark fumble. Reality show Survivor, Thursday at 8/7 Central on CBS. With a 16-14 lead, Jacksonville kicks it off toward the sideline, grabbed by James Mungro. Across the 20 and met rudely at about the 23.
Dick, I don't know a lot, but if all the women are in one place and all the men are in another, they will fall apart.
Good point. Good news for Jacksonville fans. They now lead 16-14, the Jaguars. The bad news is they've scored only 9 out of a possible 28 red zone points, having to settle for field goals and then the fumble on the 1.
And look how they have dominated here in the second half with yardage. And they're dominating time of possession as well.
Fake to James. Manning then throws to James on the rollout. He spins across the 30 and out to the 32, and the fans applaud the second effort. The winner gets first place in the AFC South. And look at Houston down there at 3-3, a bye week, and you wonder who they're rooting for. They get Jacksonville at home next week, and some of the folks guilty of overlooking the Texans.
Yes, sir. But the importance of this game for Jacksonville is very simple. They can't afford to be swept by the Colts in the regular season, which gives them a decided advantage come late in the season.
Yeah, Indianapolis would have a 2-game lead plus the head-to-head. In essence, a 3-game advantage as James bulls his way to a first down close to the 40.
Indianapolis is so woefully behind, even on a time of possession in the first 3 quarters. 28 minutes for Jacksonville, only 17 for Indianapolis. And field position has just been not good for Indianapolis. They have faced a long field all day.
Fake to James. Manning's going to have to throw this one away and aims it for the first row of the stands. Favors and McRae were really after the quarterback of the Colts. Well, you know, we talked with Reggie Wayne yesterday at the Colts complex, Dan, and he said, you know, there's so many good receivers here that you're bound to have guys come into the huddle pouting, you know, because we're not getting any. And all of a sudden I was thinking, where's Wayne been?
Yeah, he has not been around. Of course, the Colts haven't had the ball very much, but you're right. So many weapons for Indianapolis. He said, yeah, I'll admit, we watched the film on Monday. There's some lips sticking out.
He's out to the left, but it's to James and a big hole up the middle. First down to the 48 of the Jaguars.
Oh, talk about give him a leg and take it away. How nifty was that? Edgerrin James picking up his left leg. Watch him come right up the middle here. He's going to have a tackler come in from his left right there. Look how he gets away from Donovan Darius. This is pretty nimble right here. That's the old crazy legs Hirsch. Am I dating myself by even bringing that up?
Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch, one of the greats. And boy, he could really, he had his hinges on definite swivels, the knees and the ankles. Looking left, throwing down the middle, Stokely, first down, 28. So they got Reggie Wayne clearing out to the far flat, and then running the seam is Stokely for another catch.
Do you know how tough you have to be to stick your hands out like this, moving right towards a safety, concentrating on that football, knowing you can't protect yourself, and you're going to get that? I'm telling you what, Brandon Stokely in that slot takes such a pounding. What a tough dude he is.
Career high for him, 30 catches now this season. Now to James. You look pass, they run it. You look run, then they play action and throw. And James over the 60-yard mark rushing.
You know, everybody, the first thing you ask about Edgerrin James, that he's got his power back. Well, he's got his niftiness too. He's showing a little, showing some nice change of direction. And this is to this point a very solid Indianapolis drive.
Donovan Darius making another tackle. Not good news when your safety is making a majority of stops. You got to drive the defense crazy, all that stuff Manning throws at you. Open, Stokely inside the 10. And he threw it down low where Stokely wasn't going to get banged.
And again, they are working the middle of the field. Peyton Manning loves to work the middle of the field. Of course, that's where your slot receiver really comes into play, but lots of room in there. But Peyton Manning loves to work between the hash marks as well as any quarterback in this game. And, of course, what's the one thing you need to do that? Tough receivers.
And at 5'11", 197, yeah. Stokely, doesn't he remind you of Wayne Corbett at times?
Yeah, physically he does.
100 yards for him. Fake. James. Manning looking. Wide open. Is it a touchdown in the corner? Yes, to Marvin Harrison. Oh, my. How did he stay in bounds?
Well, I was talking earlier about staying active as a defensive lineman. Staying active is what Marvin Harrison does here. Take a look, working against Bolden. Here he's going to go back. Right there he stops. Uh-oh, he stepped out of bounds.
That should not be a catch.
No, they're going to review this. Oh, they've kicked it. Jack Del Rio, though, is clear out on the field. Did he get this stopped?
I think the officials will say.
And there's also a flag down on the far side of the field. Marvin Harrison going out of bounds, you've got to come back and establish yourself in the field of play. You see it right there. He's out of bounds. If you're out of bounds, you can't be the first guy back. You can't be the first guy to touch the ball.
If another receiver touched it, deflected to him, then it would have been okay. But now the dilemma.
There is the red flag. I don't know when it came out.
And the old catcher with the Southern California Trojans, that's a strike that he threw that red flag. He wanted it to be noticed. And Mike Vanderjagt and the Colts really hurried that extra point just in case. In all fairness in the system here, Del Rio should get his chance for review.
When Marvin Harrison reverses course with his left foot right there, he is on the line. And yes, he is definitely out. I don't think there's any question that he was out of bounds.
Brilliant toe tap there in the corner, but it may or may not count. This is a tough one to chew on.
There is no play. The challenge flag was thrown prior to the snap.
Yeah, see, that's what they were trying to figure out, whether or not Jack Del Rio was successful in challenging that touchdown catch prior to the extra point.
You've got to be quick for the challenge, and that may be one of the weaknesses in the system, that a team knowing that
Jacksonville has challenged the ruling on the field that the catch was complete for a touchdown.
that overrule might occur in a challenge, a hurry to the next play, and so Del Rio had to fire in a hurry. We'll be back with the results of the review. It's at this point 2016 Colts. And welcome back. The challenge continues as Marvin Harrison brought a little difficulty to this call with his quick footwork.
Well, Terry McCauley looked like he was done and started out, stopped, and here he comes again. Kind of like Harrison's pattern.
After review, the receiver, number 88, stepped on the end line prior to touching the pass. By rule, it is a penalty for illegal touching of the pass on the offense. 5-yard penalty will be assessed from the previous spot. It'll be first down from the 14-yard line.
Well, the crowd can boo all they want, but that is exactly right. You cannot be out of bounds, which Marvin Harrison is right there. He is out of bounds, and you cannot be the first one to touch the football. Now, Jack Del Rio struggling mightily to get this challenge initiated prior to the snap of this ball. Now, as we open it up and widen out, there is the red flag. You can see it right up here. And it is already on the ground. So the officials, which they did, they all conferred, and they decided that Jacksonville was successful in initiating, a question as to whether or not that was a catch. But boy, they didn't get it in by much.
It took a good catcher's arm to get it out there, didn't it?
It sure did. So but what happened here, Dick, is that justice has been served.
Absolutely. It was the right thing.
Yes.
No matter who you're rooting for, if it was your team, you surely wouldn't want to get that as a touchdown. So you race the 6, 10:31 to go, and it's first down at the 14-yard line, first and goal. Harrison saying he was knocked down. Pollard was crossing to the outside.
Well, Marvin Harrison gets drilled right here by Bolden. And it looked to me like the ball was in the air. You're allowed to chuck inside of 5 yards, but not if the ball's in the air.
No call.
That was real close. You're allowed to knock a receiver down. That's not a problem. just can't happen while the ball's in the air.
Harrison right, Stokely slot right, Wayne to the left. He's been the quiet man today. Looking for Wayne. Manning in trouble, throws underneath to James. He catches and delivers to the 7-yard line, and Manning hit hard as he got rid of it.
And he wants some help getting his jersey back on.
John Henderson and Bobby McRae pressuring Manning.
Yeah, he gets caught in the sandwich here, but again, buying time. Not a great scrambler, not a big runner. He knows he's going to get hurt, but boy, does he get caught between some beef.
Marcus Stroud was there too. Third and goal. A 2-point game.
He loves Marcus Pollard in this situation.
And there's Pollard. Good call, Dan, but well covered in the corner by Donovan Darius, and so out comes the field goal unit. So instead of a possible 6 or even 7-point lead, had they gone for a 2-point play on the Harrison catch that was not allowed, now the field goal for the 1-point advantage.
And then here we have a question mark. This is Mike Vanderjagt with the bad hamstring. We'll see how much he's been able to rehab and whether he's all the way back.
Not much of a test. 25-yard field goal attempt. Ooh, it's good. And a flag down. Quite a pileup in front of the kicker.
Tripping. Offense. Number 81. 10-yard penalty. 4th down.
Marcus Pollard using a little extra leg.
I think Marcus is lined up on the right side. He's involved in the protection there on that critical juncture where people try to really gain penetration. And let me tell you something. I spent a lot of years on the field goal and extra point team. You trip people all the time in there. You can't do it out in the open. I mean, it's just part of your protection. You know, they got to get through your legs to get there.
You feel better now you finally confessed?
No, it's just part of the deal. It's part of being in there. But the guys on the corners where they're exposed are the guys that get caught.
Well, let's see if that penalty costs the Colts the lead. Now a 35-yard attempt. This one is straighter. 17-16. A burner in Indianapolis. And welcome back to Indianapolis. Now and then it's okay to blow our own horn, Dan Deerdorf, and our camera crew here, elite collection. They've made some plays themselves and catching some very difficult action that has really clarified the course of this game. Congratulations to them. Now Mike Vanderjagt to kick off. 17-16. 9.5 minutes to go. He bounces this one to Kyle Brady, one of the men in the wedge, and the tight end Brady toppled at the 32-yard line. Well, the Jaguars, they love it when it gets down to crunch time. Week 1, they trail Buffalo 10-6. Leftwich, game winner, 7 yards to Ernest Wilford as time expired. Week 2, Jaguars a 1-point lead. Quentin Griffin fumbled for Denver. Jags win. Week 3 at Tennessee, Leftwich, 13-play drive, game-winning touchdown. Taylor with just seconds left. And last week, trailing 16-14 against the Chiefs, Leftwich delivered again. 14-yard TD pass to Cortez Hankton with 45 seconds left. 4 wins, all in the last minute for Jacksonville.
And love nor money can buy you the confidence that comes with winning close ball games.
And apparently they're going to be facing another close one as Leftwich winds and fires a first down strike to Troy Edwards out to the 45-yard line. Jason David made the tackle.
The more tape I see of Byron Leftwich, the more I watch him play, the more impressed I am his ability to survey the field and find the open receiver. 8 different Jacksonville Jaguars have caught passes today, and you can just watch him move from right to left, left to right. He checks down for a second-year quarterback. His polish is really something to see, Dick.
7 yards separating the two teams in total yards. Taylor Look at him bull right into the tackler Rob Morris and push him back a couple of yards as Jacksonville is back in Indianapolis territory at the 47.
Jack Del Rio has done such a good job of convincing this team that with our physicality, with our ability to play hard-nosed football, that in the fourth quarter the pendulum swings our direction, and they have bought into it, and that is why they've been so successful in the fourth quarter. They believe they have worn the other team down, and believing is doing.
On 2nd and 6, offside Colts, and flag is thrown. Jimmy Smith, had that play gone to Smith and he'd have caught it, would have been
Offside.
significant.
Defense, number 96, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's the 10th penalty on Indianapolis, a team that had been penalized only 19 times in 5 games, 10 today. But back to Jimmy Smith. He sits on a very interesting number in his great receiving career. Smith has caught 750 passes, and he's now tied with a couple of great players on the all-time list, Charlie Joyner and Michael Irvin, for 13th place all-time. Smith 750. Taylor, look at that cutback. Oh, and the powers through 2 defensive backs to the 28. Dawson, Bashir just powered on their backside by the force of Taylor, who now is over 100 yards today.
Well, Mike Doss, who's missed the last 4 games, gets a welcome back right here. Watch when Fred Taylor cuts it upfield. Check out number 20 coming into the picture. Uh-oh.
They've had some collisions, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Mike Doss, yeah, he delivered a blow, but Fred Taylor went about another 3 yards after that shot right over Doss.
104 yards for Taylor, his first 100-yard game this year, and he's going for more. To the 25, David Thornton, the tackler. Well, Taylor and Colts safety Mike Doss mixed it up last year in the first meeting. Doss forced Taylor to fumble. And then in their second meeting, revenge for Taylor. Right over Doss on his way to a touchdown.
Well, if this was a baseball game, Fred Taylor would be leading at 2-1.
2 hits to 1.
But we're only in the 8th inning.
That's right. We know from recent experience there's a lot of scoring yet to be witnessed. On 2nd down, Leftwich throwing to the end zone. Smith, and his 751st catch is a touchdown, and indeed that quiets the crowd. Jimmy Smith at 35, the 13th leading receiver in NFL history, and he gets a big scoring grab there.
I say all hail Lord Byron. Byron Leftwich. Look at how perfect this pass is to Jimmy Smith. Look at the tight spiral. Look at it right on the hands. Impossible to defend. This guy is a second-year quarterback out of Marshall University.
Going to go for 2, Dan.
Yes, this is not a 10-year veteran.
3 for 3 on 2-point conversions this year. Jacksonville would give them a 24-17 lead, a 7-point lead instead of 5 or 6. Leftwich guns it complete. And it's 4 for 4 as Ernest Wilford, the rookie from Virginia Tech, squeezes a 2-pointer, and it's a 7-point game.
And that was nothing short of anemic pass defense on the part of the Colts. You might think about defending the goal line. Novel concept.
What a drive by Byron Leftwich. 3 minutes, 18 seconds. He took them 68 yards, only 5 plays. That perfect 25-yard strike to Jimmy Smith for the score, and then he drilled in that 2-pointer to Ernest Wilford, and it's a 7-point Jaguar lead. They led 7-0 early, and it's been Colts either tied or in front since.
And if you could see confidence, the Jacksonville bench would be buried under a mountain of it. You could just tell the way they carry themselves. They are in familiar territory.
Yeah, these are the young, tough guys on the block. 24 points, by the way, is the most the Jaguars have scored this season. The kick by Scobie. Dominique Rhodes trying to find the handle. And he doesn't make it to the 20-yard line. Down to Armin Katayan.
Dick, I had an opportunity to talk to James Shaq Harris, their player personnel director, before the game, and I specifically asked him about Byron Leftwich, one of the great young black quarterbacks of the game, and James Harris being the first black quarterback in 1969 really to come into the league. And he said, I just love this kid's passion for the game. He loves it. The young guy sees things over and over and over again. He's willing to study the film. His work ethic is what's going to separate him from the rest to be the best. Back to you, Dick.
All right, thanks. A little history lesson there as well. Edgerrin James. Just to tag on to Armin's comment, it was my pleasure back in the 60s as the Rams radio announcer to call James Harris's play as a L.A. Ram. And it's interesting historically, this team, this Jaguar team, Leftwich, David Garrard, Quinn Gray, the first time that all three quarterbacks are African-American on an NFL roster.
And James Harris, just to finish it off, a teammate of mine in the Pro Bowl. We were NFC teammates together.
Flag down. Harrison can't pull it in. Pestered by Jerron Bolden.
What's really noteworthy for the Colts here, as we'll get the call from Terry McCauley, has been field position.
Offside. Defense. Number 55. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Dick, one time prior to this, they started at their 20-yard line. But this is their 5th drive that has started inside the 20. You know, this one started at what, the 18? They were at the 13, the 12, the 8, and the 1. It has been a lot of green stuff in front of Manning and his offense all day.
The average start 17, as you saw. Edgerrin James gets a big start and bangs out to the 41 and a first down, running through two safeties, Darius and Grant.
Well, we talk about confidence. I'll guarantee you there's no lack of it with this Indianapolis offense. Beautiful hole right between Jeff Saturday, Rick DeMulling, Tupe Pico, the right guard. Boy, did they open up a chasm there for the edge. But you know this offensive team, they've done it too many times before to be intimidated.
James 85 yards and doesn't get much here. Although he did break a tackle for 3. Now has 88 on the afternoon. Going to take a breather, and Dominique Rhodes comes in. Well, the talk all season long has been, how are the Colts, with their budget, going to hang on? They got Manning. How are they going to keep Edgerrin James and Marvin Harrison? Bill Polian says he's going to do it. Deflected in the air and incomplete. And that one swatted right off the hands of Peyton Manning. Big John Henderson was in the area.
And when you say Big John, you're talking about all 6'7" of Big John working against Rick DeMulling, the left guard. Again, he always moving, the legs moving forward, but you can see his eyes never took them off of Peyton Manning, knew exactly when he was going to throw and put up his own hands to block.
Big 3rd down and 7 for Manning and the Colts. Quick throw to Clark. And he carries Darius with him to the 39. First down.
Got a blitz coming off the corner. Take a look at it. Good pickup by the Colts. And look at Dallas Clark cover up the ball at the end.
Well, he didn't have to worry. Tariq Glenn wasn't there.
There was a little ball security going on there with Dallas Clark.
Yeah, he squeezed the life right out of it. There's the stretch fake, and then the long throw for Harrison. Touchdown! Oh, my!
When we talked earlier in the game, Jack Del Rio said, we want to make Indianapolis earn it the hard way with long drives. They desperately didn't want to give up the long play, which is exactly what his defense just gave up to, of all places, where, Dick? Right down the middle of the field. Does Peyton Manning go again to Marvin Harrison?
Harrison with his 2nd touchdown catch, and now Vanderjagt to tie it up. Ooh, bad snap. Good hold by Hunter Smith. And it's a 24 tie in Indianapolis with less than 4 minutes to go.
Marvin Harrison, he's lined up to the right. He comes down here and splits the safeties. He gets right between Cooper and Grant. It's a zone defense all the way. The safeties cannot allow Marvin Harrison to run by them. That's where the term safety comes from. You can't allow him to run right between the two of you on his way to the goal line.
And just as brilliant as Leftwich was as he threw to Jimmy Smith, that throw by Manning couldn't be more perfect either.
And how many times have we seen it? It's just, and again, you know, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, when he first came into the league, showed that uncommon mastery of the passing game that belied his age. And you know, we expect that now of Peyton Manning. But Byron Leftwich, I am sometimes really taken back as to how accomplished of a quarterback he's become.
82 yards for the Colts in 6 plays. It took them less than 2:25. 39 yards on the touchdown to Harrison. So they'll play 3 minutes and 52 seconds for the lead in the AFC South. Vanderjagt, that sore leg of his, a little weak, down to the 8 to Troy Edwards. 20, up the middle, 30, and a good return, 34-yard line. Well, big doubleheader week on CBS next week. We're going to be in Philadelphia to see the Ravens and Eagles. Jacksonville, Houston, Indy, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Tennessee. The late game, big game, will be New England at Pittsburgh, and the Raiders will visit San Diego. And of course, you'll want to watch Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer on the NFL Today.
Yeah, Marvin's going, can you believe I ran right between those two guys?
Look at the eyes there. He has wonderful eyes. Fred Taylor in Jacksonville as Leftwich sets him up at the 34. Underneath, look at Taylor. Everyone just waited for him to make a move, and all he did is stop and go, and has a first down, 11 more yards receiving. So he's had a big day both running the ball and catching it. Over 100 yards rushing. And now receiving 100 to make it 67 yards. There you see it on your stat tracks, top of your screen. They're quick, aren't they?
Yep. But again, what a nice job of Leftwich checking down, looked outside first, and then found Taylor.
Crowd trying to help the defense. Hasn't bothered Leftwich today. Pump fake. Underneath, complete to Yoder, the tight end. He has another first down at the 42. And in this second half, Leftwich and Jacksonville, until they've gotten to the 10-yard line, have moved at will.
Well, again, this is the last rated pass defense in the National Football League. I'm sorry, but anybody who comes into a game against the Colts figures that we're going to move the ball through the air. Both teams over 400 yards, only 2 yards apart. And Jacksonville looking to take the lead yardage-wise right here.
And Leftwich is only 9 yards from a 300-yard game. He's been averaging over 320 the last 3. Taylor grabbed by Josh Williams, a 285-pound tackle from Michigan, as we approach the 2-minute timeout. Jack Del Rio, and a man who encouraged him to return to coaching and be an NFL coach, and a successful one apparently he's going to be, by his opponent today, Tony Dungy. They've been coach, player, and friends for a long time. 2 to go at 24. A scoring fest. Offensive teams have predominated. 24-24, 2 to go. 2nd and 6 for the Jaguars at the Indy 38-yard line. Fans on their feet. Leftwich ducks away, and then he's sacked at the 38-yard line. A yard loss. Monte Rager has played a huge game in the middle of that defense for the Colts.
Rob Morris, the middle linebacker, comes on a blitz up the middle, but he's picked up Initially, it's good blocking by Jacksonville. Byron can't find anybody and smartly pulls it down. But you're right about Rager. He's all around the football.
Colts spend their first time out. Jags have all 3 of theirs. And there's the rookie kicker, Josh Scobie. His longest this year is 48 yards. He did kick 153 in college.
I remember talking in the end of the first half about Peyton Manning in that 2-minute drill, and I was guessing that his pulse wasn't 1 beat above normal. I'll bet you Josh's is. I bet you his pulse is above normal right now.
They're playing a drum beat. So Scobie, that target line around the 30-yard line to give him a 48-yard attempt. We watched him in practice. He did kick a 53-yarder in practice. On 3rd down, Leftwich over the middle. What a catch by Ernest Wilford. The rookie hit as the ball arrived and able to hang on.
But look at the throw. The throw's perfect. It forces him to catch it. It is low. It is down where he can go down and just have it come right into his midsection. Look at the throw. Absolutely perfect. That is a route that unless a big hit disrupts it at the end is almost impossible to defend.
And it looked like Harper had enough of a hit to jar it free. 3rd down, 6 for 8 for Leftwich, who is now at the 300-yard mark in the game. Throws it underneath in, complete to Fred Taylor. Tried to run before he'd really tucked it away. And Leftwich got hit as he threw the ball. We welcome those of you who have been watching NFL action on CBS elsewhere. This is Dick Enberg, Dan Deerdorf in the RCA Dome, Indianapolis, a 24-all tie as Jack Del Rio's Jacksonville Jaguars have moved here in the final 2 minutes and now at 59 seconds to the 30-yard line in Colts territory against Tony Dungy's defense. And Byron Leftwich just hit hard. He came into the game with a left shoulder bruise and a bad ankle from last week. And here's the last play.
And smartly, Jacksonville takes a timeout to let Byron collect himself. Again, he's got the bad shoulder. He's thrown to the ground there by Robert Mathis. And he clearly got up feeling the effect. He injured that shoulder last week in the game against Kansas City. Here it is, by the way. Well, you talk about it, it shows up right here. Watch him get thrown to the ground. And boy, Byron telling us he thought he broke his collarbone. And then later in the game, he hurts his right ankle. You can see how badly. And of course, he was a senior in college. He completed a long pass, and his offensive lineman carried him to the huddle where he kept playing on a broken leg.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow, what a shock. He's still in the game.
Each team now has spent 1 timeout. 2nd down, handoff to Taylor, hit from behind. And there's the securing tackle from Jim Nelson, and then the push back. Timeout. Called by Indianapolis.
Yeah, this is where Indy's got to take a timeout, hoping that they'll get some time. If Jacksonville is successful with a field goal, they're going to save precious seconds here to give Peyton Manning a shot.
Scobie, the rookie kicker for Jacksonville, if he had to try the field goal now, it would be about 46, maybe 47 yards. Meanwhile, Byron Leftwich has had another brilliant game for Jacksonville.
And he has had a wonderful day. This has all been taking place in the second half. He got hit, but that interception of inside the 2-yard line, a fumble with no points. But then he finds Jimmy Smith in the back of the end zone. And Byron Leftwich, he's had a couple misfires there down by the goal line. But understand something. He has played brilliant football here today. I mean, it has been something to see.
23 for 32, 300 yards. He's made some tough decisions and tough throws. Huge play, 3rd down. About 9. Taylor behind Leftwich. Smith and Wilford to the left. Edwards to the right. Oh no! For Jacksonville, the worst thing that could happen, Leftwich is sacked, and that'll move Scobie into very long range for a field goal.
What an opportune pass rush here for the Colts.
Robert Mathis, who leads Indianapolis with 4 sacks.
An undersized Mathis there. You see upfield, it's no rush at all by Freeney, but then it's the rest of the guys. Once the big guys removed, they join in, and this is going to be a 53-yard field goal.
For the rookie, whose longest is 48, kicked a 53-yarder in college. That's a different game. It was interesting in practice. I hadn't seen Scobie kick, so we watched him, and he tried one from 53, made...
And here they are at the very end of regulation in horrible position.
And look at that deep defense now being employed by the Jaguars. They've got 5 men at least 10 yards downfield and 3 that are 20 yards downfield. Their Vanderjagt's career long is 54, 46 so far this year. Of course, his only miss in the last 2 years was that 48-yarder in the opener against New England that would have tied the Patriots in the final minute.
I know in Indianapolis's last possession, Marvin Harrison split their safeties and went right down the middle of the field. You think maybe Jack Del Rio had a little talk with his safeties prior to them coming out here to defend this?
Manning alone in the backfield, 4 wides. Steps up, throws over the middle to Pollard, gets down, but no timeout to spend, so Manning has to hurry him up there. 24, 23, 22, 21, and he stops the clock at 20. It'll be 3rd down and 2 for the Colts. Hey, we welcome you watching CBS NFL football elsewhere to Indianapolis. Quite a game here. Indianapolis and Jacksonville battling for first place in the AFC South. Both teams well over 400 yards in offense. A 53-yard field goal by the rookie Josh Scobie of Jacksonville has given them the lead in the final minute. Trying to get up, he can't get to the sidelines. Pollard, and no timeouts remain for the Colts. Reggie Wayne actually with his catch, and Manning downs the ball with 6 seconds left. The ball is now at around the 37-yard line. It will take a miracle throw now for the Colts to entertain any hopes. A reminder, stay tuned for the Subway postgame show. Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, all the latest NFL scores and highlights all coming up on the Subway postgame show. Lots of great action around the league, and this one of the best games. As we've had controversy, we've had big scoring plays, 2 quarterbacks that have had hot games and offenses over 400 yards.
A miracle or a penalty, one or the other for Indianapolis.
To the sidelines quickly to Stokely, and he's able to beat the clock by 1 second. 1 second left to the 49-yard line of Indianapolis. And now Manning has to hope that he can be protected well enough and loft one toward that end zone and hope that he'll get a kindly carom. They use triple right with Harrison, Wayne, and the tall Aaron Moorhead. And Greg Favors has Manning as the game ends, and a flag is down. 2 flags down. Jacksonville comes up with the ball. Undoubtedly a moot action after Manning was thrown to the turf.
Well, it was only a 3-man Jacksonville pass rush. And yet they were able to disrupt Peyton Manning and keep him from doing what he wanted to do.
There are multiple fouls on the last play. Holding, offense number 71. Illegal touching the pass, number 63. And an illegal forward pass, also on the offense. The holding is declined. The illegal touching the pass is declined. The forward pass is accepted. That is the end of the game.
The game is over. Jacksonville moves into first place in the AFC South, 27-24. For Dan Deerdorf and Armin Katayan, thank you for being with us. Coming up, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, the Subway postgame show. The Jacksonville Jaguars with a upset win in Indianapolis. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.